Hey guys, what's going on? Lee Sanders here of the RCWR show, coming at you all with some breaking news for Wednesday afternoon, April 12th, 2017. This pretty much had went down within the last 45 minutes as I'm live right now at the time of 2:26 p.m. on the East Coast. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to be checking this out, if not maybe on a late lunch break. For sure, you're going to be checking this out on demand. So I do appreciate you guys taking the time out to check this out. But breaking news, author, comedian, actor, voiceover talent, you name it, a jack of all trades, man. Charlie Murphy, the older brother of Eddie Murphy, has shockingly passed away at the age of 57 due to I'm assuming it was a long-term battle of leukemia. Yes, passed away at the age of 57. Talk about like out of nowhere. I wasn't even aware, and I'm sure there's probably a lot of you guys that maybe wasn't even aware that quietly under the radar, Charlie Murphy was suffering from leukemia. Like every time you saw this guy, he seemed to be in the best spirits, always cracking jokes, always had that vibrant energy. Like I'm definitely shocked. And I'm old school. I remember watching the career of Charlie Murphy. And it was so funny because like I remember when he really exploded on the Chappelle show. And way before Chappelle had rolled out and was like, I'm done with Chappelle's show, I'm gonna go off to Africa. You had Charlie Murphy in the background. Not only was he helping out with writing the show and everything, but he really came in the spotlight on the show when he was doing his Charlie Murphy celebrity stories, where basically he was sharing his experiences. Now, he jazzed it up and it was like extremely exaggerated, but he swore, nah, man, this is like what actually had went down. But it was a nice, funny interpretation of his recollects of what went down. But he really came into fame on that, and cracking on Prince, cracking on Rick James, all that is pretty much combined with how Dave Chappelle was executing those characters. That's really how Charlie Murphy had came into the spotlight. And I tell you, when we all first were like, whoa, who's that guy? And it's like Charlie Murphy. Like I could tell you as like fans of Eddie Murphy, but definitely, and I really don't want to make this be a race thing. So I really don't want people to take it the wrong way, but I think many blacks would definitely be in agreement with me because I mean, what black person was not watching Chappelle's show back in the day? I mean, if you loved comedy, you knew you was glued to Comedy Central back in the day, checking out Chappelle's show. But like once we kind of put two and two together, we're like, man, Charlie Murphy, like, damn, he looks a lot like Eddie by chance. Is he related to Eddie? And like soon as many of us kind of like looked it up, it was like, hell yeah. Like, okay, no wonder he's so damn funny. Like, awesome. And at this point, Eddie Murphy had been away from comedy for a good amount of years. You kept hearing rumblings way back then that Eddie was kind of getting the itch to maybe come back and go back to doing the comedy that made him famous. But like to this day, nothing has still come to fruition. So there were a lot of us back in the day that took a strong liking to Charlie Murphy because it was basically, honestly, and I know this is going to sound really messed up, but you just got to think about it from this standpoint. And you got to think about it from the standpoint of, hey, when Eddie Murphy went to Hollywood and he became an actor, and he pretty much put the comedic roles behind him. He not comedic roles, but the routine stand-up that we all came to know and love and like have passed down from friend to friend, basically generation to generation. Because now you got this upcoming generation and the generation before that that's like, man, I was checking out Eddie Murphy Raw and all that. Well, it was Eddie Murphy went the route with Hollywood, and it looked as though he never came back, combined with when Charlie Murphy was on the rise and then he exploded on the Chappelle show. So many blacks was like, you know what? At least we got Charlie. We might not have Eddie anymore, but that's all right. We got Charlie. And some would almost kind of make the argument that the way Charlie executed his comedy, some would make the argument that Charlie was more funnier than Eddie. Not my words. Those are not my exact words, but there are many people that actually have felt that way. So that kid kind of gives you a little bit of a backdrop on Charlie Murphy. But I mean, just a jack of all trades. And it's so funny because when you think about when we first saw him on the Chappelle show, you're kind of reminded that face looks very familiar. And then if you know your movies and all, you kind of backtrack a little bit. You then realize that this man had like a long history being involved in films in some type of fashion. It goes as far back into the 1980s, definitely going into the 1990s. And he had little small roles here and there, but he really didn't start like grabbing people's attention, I would say, not until Chris Rock's CB4. That's what they's really kind of like, hey, who's that guy? That guy's kind of funny. So you go from that, you combine that with the Chappelle show, one of my all-time favorite animated shows that Cartoon Network had distributed, the Boondocks. Charlie Murphy stay being on there doing voiceover work. You also had the Comedy Central Black Jesus. That really, you had to have a unique taste to watch that show. Not everybody really dug that, but I thought that was a hilarious show with John Witherspoon and all. I thought Charlie Murphy had did pretty good in that one. So I mean, just hand dipped into a little bit of everything. Even did some voice work for one of the Grand Theft Auto video games. My man was like pretty much all over the place, all over the place. He is survived by 3 children. And talk about a tough hand. My heart definitely goes out to the children, to his immediate family, colleagues, uh, close associates. But talk about a rough life, man, because it pretty much had started off. Really, you kind of go back to, he was born in Queens, New York. So, I mean, come on, anybody that knows about Queens, New York, back then, like late 1950s and it's a little bit rough, especially if you're black and everything. And his mother was a telephone operator, as well as his father. And his father was a transit police officer. And as a kid, Charlie Murphy had actually spent 10 years in jail for what I do not know. But after he got out of that, this is well known when you look up his history. But after he got out from all that, he went to the Navy and he served there for about 6 years as a boiler technician. And then shortly after that, he was discharged from the Navy. And after that, that's when he later learned that he witnessed a mushroom cloud over Beirut. He later learned that it was the aftermath of the Beirut barracks bombing, in which 307 people had died. And like I told you guys, he had minor roles really starting from the 1980s, 90s. Told you about CB4, told you about Chappelle Show. Back late 2009, he actually had a ongoing show on Cracked. It was called Charlie Murphy's Crash Comedy. That was on, or actually Crackle. I apologize. I always get that name mixed up for some reason. Don't pay me no mind. I don't mean no disrespect. He also made appearances in the 1000 Ways to Die, also the TBS sitcom Are We There Yet? And just a long track record. His wife had actually passed away several years back, going back to 2009. She had died from cervical cancer. Ouch. So the couple, they had 2 children together, and there was another child that Murphy had from a previous marriage. So again, my heart definitely goes out to those kids of his, even if they're getting to that age right now where maybe they're teenagers or whatnot. Still, to be losing a parent that young, 57, that's still pretty young, especially in today's day and age. It's just a significant blow. And I'm going to tell you, it's a significant blow from a couple of standpoints. It's a significant blow for comedians all around the world, for sure. I would think 10 times more for Dave Chappelle. That probably has to sting, as well as sting big time for my man Eddie Murphy. So definitely thoughts and prayers go out to Eddie Murphy, especially during this time of grief. But not only is this a significant blow for those individuals, this is definitely a significant blow for comedians. It's also a significant blow for fans, especially amongst the black community, because that's really where Charlie Murphy was the most popular with, really popular amongst the black community. This is a significant blow, especially given the circumstances surrounding the death. And I tell you, I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be so many radio tributes that's underway right now, whether you're checking out Sirius or you're checking out FM. I would imagine there's going to be some type of tribute all week long. And just the fact that Dave Chappelle is connected to Washington, D.C., as he's a Duke Ellington alumni, I would imagine, because I actually recall when Chappelle's show had first broke out, every single FM radio station that was urban, they were talking about Chappelle's show. They were always going over the weekly sketches. And I mean, it was like segments on urban radio shows dedicated to the talk of Chappelle's show recaps. Chappelle's show came by a few times, did interviews on those same shows. I know Charlie Murphy did some stuff as well over the years. So I would imagine here in the DMV, they're definitely, I would imagine nationwide, but for sure in the DMV, they're going to be holding it down and they're going to be sharing their thoughts. But man, I tell you, a sad, significant blow there. I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna turn it over to you guys to get you all's reactions. But there was always a part of me that felt that if and when a time had came where Eddie Murphy was going to get back into doing stand-up comedy again, it was really going to be because Charlie Murphy pushed him. He pushed him to do it. He worked with him because Charlie Murphy, uncredited, there were a lot of times early on in Eddie Murphy's career that the two brothers would kind of go back and forth on skits and all that, cracking jokes. And some of the material that Eddie Murphy would use, it was kind of because he worked it out with his brother, to the point, I think the comedy specials that Eddie Murphy had did, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Charlie Murphy, if he's not one of the credited writers, for sure he's uncredited. I believe, if I understand that myth correctly, Charlie Murphy did have a hand in writing some of Eddie Murphy's material from back in the day. Not to mention, Charlie Murphy was also the writer, screenplay writer for the Vampires in Brooklyn movie. I know, that's like the ultimate don't mention that movie, but like there's actually some people that thought that movie was actually pretty good, believe it or not. But I always had like the impression that if Eddie Murphy was to ever go back to doing stand-up comedy, it was going to be because Charlie Murphy was the one that was really able to push him and really work with him, really try to like fine tune things. And honestly, I think now that Charlie Murphy has passed, any possibility of an Eddie Murphy going back to stand-up comedy, you know, the Eddie Murphy that we remember that was doing stand-up comedy, that was so taboo, that was so raunchy, that was in your face, it was that heavy Magusta, it's not happening. It's not happening. Sadly, it's just not happening. It's equivalent to like wanting to see Lionel Richie and the Commodores get back together. But like when you lose one of the key writers, key songwriters, it's like, yeah, it's not happening now. So I would think in that same fashion, we can pretty much forget about it now. But I want to hear from you guys, get you all's reaction to this sad news. I'll definitely keep on top of this for you because, like I said, this came out of left field. I'm sure as the days progress, more information is going to be coming about. But to my knowledge, and if it has gone down, it's news to me. It's going to be news to a lot of you guys. But I did not hear anything about in the past 3+ weeks that Charlie Murphy was in the hospital for undisclosed reasons. I didn't hear anything of that nature. So I'm kind of like, wow, it's just really out of nowhere. What a crazy week that it's been, when you really stop and think about it, because not only did we lose Charlie Murphy, we also had lost that guy that passed away, a singer. He was real popular for some songs he had did back in the day. I'm actually trying to see if I can look up his name right now before I let you guys go, because then you guys are going to be like, oh man, who are you talking about? I am talking about rocker Jay Giles of the Jay Giles band. That name may not like sound familiar for you guys, but he was mainly popular for. I gotta actually go through some of the songs so you guys know who I'm talking about here. Uh, See, I'm on the website right now, but sadly, they're not mentioning any of the songs. Because, like, when you first hear the name, you're going, I don't recognize that name. But then as soon as you, like, hear the freaking songs, you go, oh, that guy. Okay, cool. And I'm actually pulling them up. Bear with me a few more seconds, guys. I humbly apologize. I should have, like, already had this ready for you guys, but it's all good. See. There we go. So let me see if I can pull up the singles here for you guys. And I just want to know the damn single. Centerfold. If you know your 80s rock music, you know about Centerfold. Like Nuff said, who hasn't heard that song before? Centerfold, right? So yeah, he passed away, if I'm not mistaken, like less than 24 hours ago. And then now you hear about the news about Charlie Murphy. It's like a crazy freaking week, man. But yeah, post your comments. Let me know what you had thought about this tragic news. I'll actually see some of the comments that's coming in right now. I'll definitely show you guys some love that took the time out to comment. And while I'm at it, got you guys' attention and everything, do me a huge favor and make sure you like this video. Definitely leave the comments below once this video is available for on-demand watch. And if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe, as I love interacting with you guys. And I do a little bit of everything on this channel. So you could also catch me live Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker.com. I see Adam. He pretty much summed it up perfectly, which is life is very short. It truly is. It truly is. Tom Blair is saying, so sad, be nice. He's been sick for a while. Seeing photos of him a few months ago, he was even on a comedy tour that came to Memphis, where I resided. J Rock is saying, wow, I had to read the title twice to make sure that was correct. Rest in peace, Charlie. Yeah, I mean, this is just so left freaking field, man. Like I said, we're probably going to learn a lot more information as time progresses, like how long exactly he had been battling this. Did he take any type of necessary steps to try to see if he can get this squashed? Was he even trying to do chemotherapy? Did he do any type of surgery? I think we'll learn in the coming days, like what exactly was going down. And we may be a little bit shocked at some of the information that we'll be hearing, but we'll definitely revisit it at a later date and share with you all, especially when it comes to funeral arrangements, all that. Now, for those of you that maybe want to send thoughts, prayers, and condolences, to my knowledge, as far as Dave Chappelle goes, I know Dave Chappelle does not have Twitter. I did not check to see if he has Facebook, but I know he's not on Twitter. There was a page that was set up, but it looks like he never really took advantage of it and continued to be active. So I'm kind of wondering, like, if he even still has access to that account or what. For those of you that maybe want to try to send some love to Eddie Murphy, I'm actually looking up Eddie Murphy right now before I let you all go and see if maybe Eddie Murphy has Twitter. And I'm keying it in right now. Eddie Murphy, let's see. Yeah, Eddie Murphy does not have Twitter. The only Eddie Murphy you see is a white guy named Eddie Murphy. Yeah, actually two white guys, because there's one Eddie Murphy who's white, and then there's a Dr. Eddie Murphy who's white. So yeah, that ain't happening. So it looks like both of those guys do not have Twitter, but I'm sure if you know how to go about looking up their websites and all that, maybe there's some type of a wall, or if they got Facebook, some type of a like page. There's got to be something out there. I'm sure you guys will be pretty clever. You know how to reach out to your favorite celebrities when you want to offer your thoughts, prayers, and condolences. Hell, just by firing up a camera and doing it the old-fashioned way, I'm sure they'll probably get their attention that way. But I'm gonna go on ahead. I'm gonna shut it down for right now. In case you guys had missed it, I did do a new episode of the RCWR show. I actually did not make the episode available promptly as soon as the show wrapped up, because I had went back and I did a little bit of editing. So as it stands right now, last night's show that I did Tuesday night is available for you guys to listen to on demand on the downloads now. So feel free to check it out. You can even access the episode here on YouTube. I'll make sure I put up some type of annotation here. And that's going to do it. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook at the RCWR Show. Appreciate you guys taking the time out to check out this video. And please continue to share your reactions to this breaking news. As once again, Charlie Murphy, the older brother of Eddie Murphy, has shockingly passed away at the age of 57 after losing his battle to leukemia. Story will continue to unfold. We'll stay on top of it for you guys. Wishing all y'all to be safe, be kind to one another. I will see you next go round. Everybody, do take care.